Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
Ready for a little Christmas Eve racing in Hong Kong?
Absolutely. Looking
Absolutely.
forward to it.
Yes, indeed. It's it's going to be up all night racing, that's for sure. Maybe insomnia racing, whatever you want to call it. Because
I'm going to watch a little from Australia and a little from Hong Kong.
So you're going to be a little bit you're gonna be all over the world, staying up waiting for Santa, huh?
Yeah. Ho, ho,
ho. Hopefully he's got a couple of exactas and trifectas and some daily doubles in his satchel for you, Thomas.
I would appreciate that.
Have you been a good boy or have you been naughty? Which one are you going to be?
Probably more on the naughty side.
Well, that's how we should get as we get older, right? So
yeah, well, things fall apart and we go forward.
So Sha Tin, the weather looks pretty good. Looks like it's going to be pretty sunny. Right now, the track is listed as good. I think all but one of the races that we're doing is on the turf course. One of them is an all-weather race, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
And the turf is listed as good. I don't see anything in this weather forecast that says that's going to change, right? Obviously, that's something we might get right.
Yeah, well, it's a little warmer there than it is here.
Oh God, yes. I mean, it's what, -8 or something like that outside today?
-3 here. So
yeah, it's a little bit cold in Chicago.
And indeed, then that wind adds to the fun.
Yeah, you open up the door for 30 seconds and the heater doesn't go off for 3 hours. That's how cold it is outside. Yeah, all right, let's get cracking.
The gas bill will reflect that.
What's that?
And the gas bill will reflect that.
Oh, unfortunately, indeed, that will absolutely be the case for sure. All right, so you're ready to roll. Let's get cracking with race number 6 at the Sha Tin track. This one is the Ivy Handicap. This one is on the turf course. It is going to be a 2,000-meter run. Looking again at our race right here, 2,000 meters. Looks to me like they're going to go around more than one time and then come back here to the finish line, Tom. It looks like they got a little bit of time to get to that turn, but is there any significance of trying to get to that turn in a hurry?
Well, if you're a speed horse from the outside, you're going to get used like on a lot of tracks in this country. So you do want to get into position to be able to take that turn comfortably.
Indeed, I would agree with you on that. So I would think positioning there would be key as well. Let's go ahead, Thomas.
Very, very important.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the speed map. So you mentioned that, Tom. So here we go. It's according to the speed map. Lucky Victor likes to lead, and he should be able to get to the front without too many problems. Perfect Mary Knoll is an alternative leader over this distance. However, it's more likely to get on the trail. So it looks to me like if you look at this race, there's not a whole lot of early speed up in here. The bulk of the horses are going to be in the middle and back. So maybe some of that early speed can hold up. We'll find out at the end, but let's find out what Thomas thinks.
Oh, I'm going to start with number 13, Wonder Years, coming out of this. Draw is 5. Has only one career win. Ran a nice race third at going 2,200 meters in a similar class. Both races that he's done well enough, and but this is a horse that needs a fast pace. And in the past, when he's done something in a race, it's something up front. I think there's enough pace in this race. He'll definitely be in the rear of the field to start. So his positioning more is going to rely on getting a clear run at the end. I think he's improving, and that pace is what is going to. If it isn't fast, I think then he'll be in trouble. But if he gets a good fast pace, as I think there is in here, I'm going to say, yeah, why not? Take him out of price. Number 10, Red Eagles. ECs has number 12, going to come out of 12. This is a 9-year-old who's done okay lately. Ran 1,800 meters and finished 5th, and then a 2,200 meter race. He was in 4th. This is one that in the past has showed speed, but he's also sits mid-pack. He's never won over this distance, which is interesting. But with that, he has 6 starts and 5 placings. So that's not so bad.
No, it's the Tom horse. Gonna win? Nah, but in the money, yeah, for sure.
And he's been in the money 21 times from 80 starts. So he's been around a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Barrier position is a concern coming out of 12. But I think he may hang around at the end, and he seems to be improving. And then my final choice is going to be number 2, Kung Fu Master Panda, who is number 5, can come out of 5.
Versus the Jack Black version, it's just Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
It comes off a barrier trial. He ran at the back of the field, which is fairly normal for him. He won in October at Happy Valley, 1,800 meters in a similar class. He's got a good record at this distance. 11 starts, 3 wins, and 2 placings. The move here is interesting because he's been mainly racing in Happy Valley. So I'm wondering, that's why I kind of put him in, because it's interesting. Why are you changing tracks? Because there are horses in Hong Kong that prefer Happy Valley over Sha Tin, and vice versa. So I decided to take a chance because maybe they know something I don't, and plus they get the top jock in Zach Pruton riding, so that also is a signal to me that this horse may be ready to do something.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a tell, so to speak. I'm going to start off with the number 5, Right as Rain. It's got an interesting pattern here that I like, at least when I'm looking at horses here at home as well. The horse was improving, then it headed to the sidelines for a little bit of rest, and then has a decent maintenance workout, or I guess they call them barrier trials over there.
Yeah, the barrier trials. And as a side note, you can actually watch those if you want, live or replays of them. So if you're interested in a horse, somebody out there is interested in one horse at Hong Kong, it's worth a look every once in a while. I do it just to see what they're trying to get out of the horse. Because if they're not trying at all, then they're just using it as exercise.
So I think this one has that really nice pattern. Improved, little rest, nice workout, comes back sharp. Number 7, Vinci, is my second selection in here. This is a horse I think that will be closing. The only question for me is, oddly enough, as long as this race is, that maybe it's a little bit too short. So maybe it needs a little bit to back up a little bit more, give everybody a little bit of a head start, and then still be able to run them down. But other than that, I do think this one's going to be the one that's coming the hardest at the end. Number 8 is my third selection, Circuit Elite. So far, Tom, we haven't agreed on one horse, and that's not by design, folks. I guess this is an open race, so hopefully that means we'll get some good odds across the way. I think this is a horse that has a good chance. It has a lot of early speed in here. I think it's probably the fastest of the early speed horses, notwithstanding what the speed chart just said. And the last time that this horse won, it got to the front and went wire to wire. So if it can get to the lead, comfortable fractions on the front, that's where it wants to be. We'll get extremely bold if it can hold that lead coming out of that final turn. And then finally, number 4, Bright Kid. So Tom and I don't agree on one horse in race number 6. This one looks to be like it's moving into its best form right now. So I'm expecting another high-quality race out of Bright Kid in the Ivy Handicap. So we step forward now, Thomas, to race number 7, the Yan Chai Trophy Handicap. This one is on the turf course as well, 1,200 meters. So we come over here to 1,200 meters. You're going to start about halfway down the backstretch, go through that big sweeping turn, come back down here. So I don't think early speed out of the gate as is important here, Tom. So it looks to me like you have plenty of time to get positioned before the turn. Is that about right?
Yes, I would say so. And I like that those mid pack runners in these races, and usually like path 2 is okay, but I rather see them out about 3, 4, or 5 wide when they sweep out of that turn and close. Generally, that's the kind of horse I'm looking for in these races. And with
Tom's looking for the mid-pack horses. That looks like it's going to now you're not letting me remember. I'm remembering. You're expecting me to forget. But Majestic Knight, it looks like it's the horse that has a lot of speed. You like those middle ones there, Thomas. Looks like you're going to have plenty of choices in the middle there. What is that? 9 horses that should be in a tactical position. So which one of those 9 choices is your top choice?
number 11, Dinkum, coming out of Barrier 1. He's had 2 starts in Hong Kong. They weren't great, but the comment line was interesting. That first race that he raced in Hong Kong, he said the comment was he made minor progress in the straight. In the next start, they said he made decent progress running in race. I went back and looked at the race, and I had to agree with it. I think he needed the starts in Hong Kong because he's coming from Australia. He had 5 starts down there. He had 2 wins and a placing. He won a maiden and a Class 1 race. I think he may be a bit of a price that may be a nice overlay here. Number 2, Brilliant Way, coming out of the draw 8, is my next choice. He came off a layoff, ran 9th. This level showed not much. Barrier trials they used to get him in shape. He's won at this distance and level in May, but after those wins, he went off form and they put him away. But this is a horse that wins 3 up, and I like to see that. So this is in that pattern. Again, gets the top rider at Hong Kong, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if this horse wins. My final choice is going to be number 7, who's coming out of number 7, is Speedy Mouse. He's got 2 winning efforts in his barrier trials, and then not so good race at 1,000 meters and at 1,200 meters. But he ran 4th and 7th. But in both races, I found that he had trouble. And at the 800-meter mark in the last race, he lost a front right shoe. Yeah, that usually can cause some problems. He's not done much from 3 races in last 12 months. So, it's like one of those, I think there's signs of improvement there. And, he's 5 years old, but he's only raced 15 times in his career. And in those, he's got 2 wins and 3 placings. So he's one of my money plays. Trifecta, exacta type.
Cleaning up the gimmicks. This might be another race where I don't know if we agreed on anything, Tom. So it's going to make for an interesting morning of racing around here. Maybe it's the cold weather impacting my head. I'm going to start off with number 5, Majestic Knight. That last 5 furlong workout, 56 and 4.4-ish, 56.4-ish, give or take a tenth of a second, probably add a tenth of a second there. That's really quick. So I think you're going to see a horse that's pretty sharp at 6 furlongs today. Number 2, Brilliant Way. Did you have this one, Tom? Brilliant Way? I think you did, right? That's the first one we agree on. This one, by far the most success at the track, the distance, and the surface. So when you look at this horse's record, and it does get this top jockey on here, and when you look at him anywhere else, any different distance, any different track, any different rating of the track, good, hasn't performed well. So if there's going to be a day that this horse gets up in here and wins, this is going to be it. The flagship warrior to the inside, the one horse. Yes, this horse hasn't run 6 times here, but so far in its career has run 12 times, 4 wins, 3 seconds. Been on a good track 9 times, 3 wins, 3 seconds. And if you look at it, the only question for me is the distance. I think that 6 furlongs might be a little bit too short, but we'll find out. And then finally, number 12 is my final choice. This is the Gluck Racer. This guy's going to be a bomb. I think I read he's like 50-something to 1. He's horrible form. So, yeah, you want to bet a horse with horrible form right now. It's usually not my favorite thing to do. But every now and then, this horse pops up with a big effort. When he pops in with a big effort, it's a winning effort. So, it's a long shot in here for the back of the ticket, hoping that maybe it can come through. I think at 53 to 1. This race will start about 3:05 a.m. Eastern time, so maybe by 3:10 Eastern time, Gluck Racer will have popped another one of those big races. In fact, all 3 of his wins came at the track and at the distance. So let's see if maybe he can make it 4 of them. Race number 8, as we move on to the holiday-themed race card here. This is the Pine Handicap, again on the turf course. This one is 1,400 meters. So you can start back here, get a real long turn into run into that turn, come through the sweeping turn, and then run down that long runway to the finish line as well. Again, I think much like the 1,200-meter race, plenty of time to get position. Tom, do you still look for horses to come out of that turn, sweep wide, and win?
Yes, and especially at 7 furlongs. It's that tweener distance as we've talked about before. It's not quite a sprint race and not quite for milers. So you got to find one that is going to be comfortable at that type of race. And with that, I took number 2.
You want to see the speed map again?
Yeah. Wow, we should see the speed map.
Tom's in a hurry. He's got some presents to unwrap. All right. So this looks like it's got a lot of pace up front. Perhaps you have Morado, who's likely to favorite, looks like, and Winner Method. Those 2 are likely to be up on the front, and then followed by a cavalry of horses. So it looks to me, if I'm going to guess, you're going to find Tom's horses somewhere in this pack right here. So let's find out if I'm right.
Yeah, I've got a little farther back for my top choice, which is number 2, Ivy League, coming out of the draw 1. First start at Hong Kong was not great. He was back of the field, had problems at the start. He made an inside move to save ground and didn't have anything in the final 400. So needed race. They're changing equipment. They're adding blinkers. And that may be what the key is for this good horse to run a little better. He placed in a group 3 at Ireland. He's tried group 1 company twice and showed little, but this is not the kind of race. So, and second start there, that may be what he needs. And he went off at 156 to 1 last time. So,
well, hopefully he goes off at that and wins.
That is a bomb. But if you look at his rating in Hong Kong, it's an 80. So that's one of the top. There are 3 of them that have that 80 rating in this race. And that's how
1, the 2, and the 3.
Yep. I take number 11, Golden Artie, coming out of number post 4. Good 4th last time out. Made progress at the end. He was 6 lengths back, but he was doing something. His first start at Hong Kong was a really dull effort. Didn't finish. Sat behind the leaders. He was on the rail, and nothing. But again, these are one of these imports because he's coming in. He's raced in Gold Coast in Australia and also at Doomben. These were 2-year-old races. He won one 2-year-old race at Doomben, and in his listed race in Gold Coast, he really didn't do much. But this is, again, not a listed race. He was 11th last time out. I'm thinking he's going to improve off that. And finally, I'm going to take number 14. Let's Do It, coming out of post 8. Except two reasonable efforts. He's got a second at a lower level, and then last time out at this level, he got a 3rd. But in that race, he had issues because with 100 meters to go, the jockey dropped the left rein. Yesterday, I did see one horse win with the rein, without that rein, but that's unusual. And in that race, he also had to wait for some clearer running. But did okay. Now, negatives, he's not won in 12 months, but in those 12 runs, he's got 12 runs through that period of time, and he's placed 6 times. They're going to switch jockeys again, but that's very typical with this horse, so that doesn't bother me. And I think he's good enough to get into the money in this race.
I think the one that's going to get in the money first up here looks like one of those 80 rated horses. That is Eremo. Should just put the L in there instead of call him Elmo. This guy is on the upswing right now, so I love to see horses that are improving, especially ones that have performed very well at the track, the distance, and the surface. And You're going to get that out of Erimo. Number 12, Marado. This one's likely to be one of the favorites. I don't know if he will or not. But this horse has won 2 in a row, so you can't really argue with its form. But prior to that, only won 1 out of 10. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of regression here. So I'm thinking more like second or third. Very vulnerable favorite. Number 4 is my third selection, Majestic Color, I guess as they would pronounce it over there. This horse has a very strong set of barrier works, getting ready for its first start off the layoff. Each successive barrier race was better than the previous one, so I'm expecting to see that succession of improvement go from the range to the golf course, and hopefully he can perform exceptionally well. And then another horse that you and I agree on. So 2 horses in 3 races. Golden Artie. It was a tough call between that and the 13 for me, Packing Hurricane. But I ended up going with Golden Artie because that last barrier of 109 and 2-ish for 6 furlongs, if you can run that same type of effort here and probably improve on it a little bit, I think it has a really good shot to win this race. But again, taking it from the practice course to the real course is always the big challenge, Tom.
It certainly is. And we would always like to do as well in the practice as we do in the real.
Yeah, or the other way around.
That doesn't necessarily work out.
So here at race number 9 is the Spruce Handicap, again, with the holiday theme, I suppose, the Christmas tree, the Spruce Christmas tree. This is that all-weather track race that we spoke about at the jump there. This one's 1,650 meters. It doesn't really matter much what the...
well, think of it as a 1.70-yard race in this country.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like they're going to start a little bit before the finish line and get to that turn really quick. So I would suspect that a little bit of early pace could work to your advantage as you get to that turn. And then after that, you got plenty of space in the backstretch and through that turn and down the stretch to get yourself into position for a closing move. But how key is getting off to a good start here with that quick turn, Tom?
It is key because you do want to get position. So the outside draws are definitely at a disadvantage, and but I did take one of those horses so as my top choice. And on your speed map, there's one of them I like that should be up front.
So yeah, it looks like Chan Chang Prince should be on the lead there, and it'll have plenty of company, it looks like. And all the way in the back, LA City Blanche. These whole group goes way too fast, that one will have a really good chance to close at the end, Thomas. Now, you mentioned that you had one of these speed types, one of the ones up front as your top pick. So tell who.
No, I didn't have, not my top pick.
So you're going to go with that 3 horse all the way from the back, from worst to first?
No, I went with number 6, Snaff Fleas. Coming out of post 12, which is not my favorite. He's had more than a 1-year break. Then he came back with really his trouble trip in his first start in Hong Kong, but came back last run and he finished 4th. But he was racing against a little better horses. So is he improving? I'm thinking he may be. In that run 4th, he didn't threaten the top 3 horses, but he made progress and he seems to be get on the upswing. He's a winner on all weather at Dundalk in Ireland as a 2-year-old in a listed race. But he's also won on the turf too. Mm-hmm. And so, maybe he's an all-weather specialist. 1 try, 1 win. Big odds in his first 2 starts. So we'll see what happens today. And that mentioned number 1 horse, Chongqing Prince, is my next choice. Yeah, he's definitely speed. He's won on both surfaces, and his recent form looks like he's better on the all-weather than he's on the turf right at this point in his career. It was a bad effort last time out, a higher level, slow pace, and he just seems to want to run on that all-weather. Because 2 races before, he had a first and a second, showing speed in 1 race, and he sat a little bit back in another race. Record on the all-weather is very good, in my opinion, because he's got 10 starts and 3 wins and 3 placings. So 60% ain't bad. And number 4, Handsome 12 is going to be my final choice. Coming out of post 1. He's a last time out winner on the all-weather after his layoff, and it was at this distance. He sat mid-pack and caught tiring leaders, even though he drifted a bit. So he was not running a straight race. He won his barrier trial before his last race, so that's a nice indicator that he is going to continue to be in form, in my opinion. And I think this is the right class level for him. And he likes that all weather, and his record is really good. 50% wins, 8 starts, 4 wins, and 1 placing on the all weather. So he's definitely one of those that likes that all weather.
Yes, indeed. That's why I'm starting off with number 4 as my first pick. Handsome 12, as you mentioned, Tom. He's pretty much an all or nada on that all weather. 8 times out, 4 wins and a second. So if he's going to do anything here today, Tom, the horse is going to win, and its form is on the upswing too. So I think you're going to see a horse with a great effort on a surface that it loves. Let's go ahead and put that win in there. I like Snaffle, so here we have a lot of agreement as my second choice in here. So I don't know if you want to pay attention to the first 3 races or this one. But Snaffles,
we're going to know by the time we get to this race.
And this guy, as you mentioned, Tom, he ran 1 time on the all-weather track, made good work of that as an easy win. And last time out, he improved a lot in his last start. So a horse that's on the improve on a surface that he likes, hopefully he can make it 2 for 2. Number 12 is my third choice, Everyone's Victory. It's another that when you look at the in-race fractions was a little bit faster last time out. So that's something I really like to pay attention to, as those in-race fractions. Is the horse getting faster, getting slower? And this one was a little bit faster last time out. So a little more improvement in this start. And Everyone's Victory can be a victory for us. And then finally, number 7, Co-Partner Elites is the last choice. This one is this one's a win or bust type horse. Been on the all-weather 4 times, won 2 of them, out of the money on the other 2. So if we get the best version of Corporate Elites, we get a winner. If we don't get the best version of Corporate Elites, we might get the last place horse, Tom.
Well, somebody has to run last.
Yeah, well, we should have a thing too. We have to pick our 3 and then who's going to come in at the end.
That's, I think, hard at times.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
So the last race of the day for us at Sha Tin is really going to be 4:45 a.m. Eastern. They go back to the turf, and this one is going to be 1,600 meters. At 1,600 meters, we look at our map right here again. So they're going to start a little bit back here, come all the way down around. So plenty of room to get yourself in position. I don't think early speed is really going to be a deciding factor. Could be helpful. We look at the speed chart here. There's plenty of early pace here, but all for St. Paul's. If it was St. Nick's, there's no way you couldn't bet that horse.
Ho, ho, ho.
Indeed. Ho, ho, ho. He's going to go, go, go. All right.
Yeah.
So who do you have going to the finish line first?
And with that, I'm taking number 9, Beauty Verse. Is going to break from number 3. Really a disappointing performance last time out. And the stewards questioned the jockey about that performance. So they wondered, because he won his first start in Hong Kong. He ran 7th. He moved late. He was under some pressure and then backed up. He was the favorite in that race. Before shipping to Hong Kong, he raced in Australia. He won 2 races in a row, and one was in a Group 3 and one was in a Group 1 company. That's usually indicating that he's running with some decent horses. So with that, I'm going to toss his last race and say he'll put a much better effort in today. Zach Pruton, again, the top jockey in Hong Kong, picked this horse over the number 10 horse to ride, which is always an interesting indicator. Did he pick the right horse? Because interestingly enough, I'm going to pick number 10 coming out of post 1. Packing Treadmill is my next choice. He's a winner of his last 2, and he's been moving up a little bit in class. Each of those wins are a little over a length, so he's making great progress. He's those races he actually had a barrier trial that he won to serve as a prep, which I like to see because that record is really good. 7 starts, 5 wins, and 1 placing. And these wins were all at Sha Tin. So definitely the top of his game. Going to switch jockeys. And interesting. Final choice is going to be number 3, Keefe. He's going to break from the way outside on number 13. He's the last out winner at handicap level. It was a 110.85 level race. He sat up front, moved from 4th, and when he was asked to go, he did. The race before, he was narrowly beaten. I think the longer distance is going to help this horse. I think that's what he's looking for. But interestingly enough, when he did have a wide draw, which he had 14 in that one race, he ran 4th. So he has overcome difficult. Yeah, the draw sucks, but he's a late runner. So minimal traffic problems, may get in there for some money.
I'm going to go with the Christmas almost. I should have been. I'm going to go with number 6. All for St. Paul's. I'm going to change his name to St. Nick's for today. This one is running. If you look at the past performances, this is the right track. He's done exceptionally well. This is the right distance and the right surface. So All for St. Paul's is going to bring it home on Christmas Eve. I also like the packing treadmill, the one that you like. So this race, we have a lot of agreement on, Tom. This horse in its career, 7 times out, 5 wins and a third. So clearly a horse that's done well. I think it's stepping up in class here. Yeah. So, I mean, if it can handle the step up in class, it'll be, I think, kind of like a lot of horses we've been betting lately that have performed very well at lower classes and moved up and continued to perform well. And the distance is a question for me too. But if it can handle the step up and the distance is okay, the horse will be all right. Keefe is my third choice, Tom, just like you. You're right behind that packing treadmill. This one at the distance is run 3 times, so not a problem. 1 win, 2 seconds. And one of those seconds was by just this much. So it could be very much 2 wins and a second in there. At the track, it's run at this Sha Tin track 7 times, collected 2 wins and 3/3. So likes the distance, likes the track, likes the footing. I think Keefe will be coming very hard at the end. And then the one you started with is the one I'm going to end with, number 9, Beautyverse. Hopefully they're not questioning the jockey afterwards. But this one it's another one of those horses that either wins or really doesn't do much. Been out 11 efforts, managed to win 5 of them. Most of them were on a good track and 2 or 4 at the distance. Right now, the form looks a little off to me, but maybe the horse can improve here today and get back to its winning ways. And that's the one thing about these horses, that they kind of win or nothing. It's either a dull effort or a big effort. So let's hope Beautyverse has a big effort for today for the Poinsettia handicap, which again will go off at 4:45 a.m. Eastern. Tom, you're going to be up at 3:35 Eastern?
Well, I was today.
Watching racing?
I was watching replays of Hong Kong.
Getting ready for today, huh?
Happy Valley. Yeah, I was watching the replays. But you know what's the nicest thing about all this? We got full field racing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nice switch from some of the 5 fields we get here, 5 horse fields we get here. And in one or 2 of those races, I think easily the favorite's going to be 3-1.
Yeah, I think there's going to good. Whenever we do these international races, there are always a lot of good price horses that hit the board. So hopefully, we had a real nice one we both agreed on last Friday, the very last race, that 6 horse. I think it paid $19 to win, and you and I both had him on top. So hopefully we can replay that on Christmas Eve so we can help offset some of those credit card bills for everybody out there doing that shopping. I don't think there's a whole lot of shopping going around in Chicago today, though, at that -3. You open up that door and it literally takes your breath away. If you're sitting around doing a little bit of college football action, college basketball action, this bowl season is in season, regardless of temperatures. Most of these games are in the warmer climates, though some are a little bit cold. In the link below, there is a link to the picks for the professor. Please click on that. One of the ways you can support the show too is to hook up yourself with some Horse Racing Today gear. I like this shirt a lot. It looks really nice. I will put a link down in the description. I haven't done yet, but there will be a link in the description down below here on YouTube. Please make sure you click on that. And of course, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about us, and then you can see our social sites down there below. Horse Race, the number 2 day. Keep in touch with all the content that we'll have coming up. A lot of good stuff planned for 2023. All right, Thomas, before we get up and out of here to celebrate the holidays, any final thoughts from you?
Well, I think these last races that we picked for Hong Kong are basically mid class, and then that last race is a high class race, and it's interesting to see how competitive some of these horses are and some of them aren't. The thing with Hong Kong is since there's no breeding program, there's a lot of geldings that race in these races. They don't really have a lot of need for mares to be running, but it makes for interesting racing, to say the least.
Well, hopefully it's interesting winning racing for you and I, Tom. The first couple of races, we don't have a lot of agreement. We come in together towards the end. So I will post all of Tom's thoughts, my picks over at horseracingtoday.net. You'll find the full recap over there along with the replay of the video here. Until we get together again next Monday, because we're off after this. Merry Christmas, everybody. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. Fun, family, fantastic food. And then I'll be back with Terry at 12 p.m. Eastern on Monday as we kick off next week, a big Monday of racing. Terry and I, as always, will run down our thoughts for the Parks card. Till then, Merry Christmas, and may everything that you do end up
under the Christmas tree and in the winter circle.
And if it's the right person, the mistletoe too. All right, thanks for joining us. Have a great day.